on BlizzCon. Let's go ahead and focus on Method and Leftovers, though. Leftovers again showing up at the Western Clash and surprising us all. Let's see if they're going to surprise us today as they tell us what they think about today's match.
So obviously, it's a bit of a rematch for us coming in against Leftovers again, right after the clash. I think that the main issue we had was that we were kind of struggling with our meta. So coming in, if we can get this down, I think we will beat them in the end. The scariest player on Leftovers when playing against them right now is Davey. Right now, if he gets Tracer or Limming, he is really... It gets on another level compared to their other comps. And I think for us to win, we have to either be very careful about giving him the heroes or at least countering it, or else the series will be very rough.
So playing Method this week is going to be a tough matchup. We still have to probably pick on their comfort picks, and we will see how it goes, but I think I would give them the upper hand right now. Everyone is an outstanding individual, but from my experience, we will most likely have to take care of ADRD and his specialist picks. Outside of that, we also have to care to not give Bad Bunny Diablo, because sometimes you can just solo carry the team with it almost. So in our team, I would say the shining player that has been like the rookie of, let's say, this year was Davey, because he can just sometimes go crazy mode and win the game for us.
We gotta teach DAB a new move. He has been overplaying the dab a little bit.
Yeah, first of all, we need to teach players how to actually fight. I mean, the cringe is real every single time I see someone going
Nick,
for this here. I'm
don't
just
worry
like,
about
what
it.
are you doing?
I was intimidated.
It's not
alright?
only Nick, it's like Quacknix, it's all of them. It's just like, guys.
They're just throwing punches. I mean, who cares
No,
if you
no,
leave
no,
your
no.
ribs open? It's fine.
That's not throwing a punch. That's not how I can show you how to throw a punch.
Oh, okay, well, we're going to learn that later on. Let's go ahead and go to Battleground number 1 in this best of 5 series. And we'll see who'll be throwing the punches in this match. It's Leftovers. Open it up with Volskaya Foundry. The first pick will be going over to Method, but in terms of bans, Dragonshire and Infernal Shrines.
Yeah, Leftovers is going to try to punch up in this series. I mean, they are currently on the number 4 spot, but they are aiming high as they are trying to get a seat for BlizzCon. As we heard before, they're still already thinking about playoffs, for example, so this is where you can establish yourself all the way up at the top for the playoffs. And with a victory over Method, they would also cement again the ambitions that they have towards the top ranks of Europe.
Now, talking about physical punches and kicks and stuff, something that really surprised us at the Western Clash on this Battleground. Leftovers pulled out Gazlo on this Battleground. It did not work out for them against Team Dignitas. Was that a strategy that you think could have worked out, or was it something that's like, all right, we're getting beat by Dignitas, let's just throw it out?
Okay, so me making fun of Gazlo at the Western Clash was not enough to give you a bit of a hint of what I thought about the pick.
Is a discussion point, okay, this was a highlight of the tournament. It needs to be brought up, Counter, whether you like it or not.
It was a highlight for you.
It was a
at the
highlight for me.
tournament.
That was fun.
He was actually really upset because he didn't get to cast the match. He trained his entire life for that one moment, and then when it happens, he's on the desk.
I will say J-How did a good job
Yeah.
of describing the strategy.
And I mean, you had a really nice exchange with Tetcha, the two of you, just exploring talent choices for a hero that was absolutely insignificant for the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
It was basically a 4 versus 5 that they played there.
It was great times. It was good. It was good. So Leftovers, of course, were joking around a little bit. They brought out the Gazlo. It didn't pay off for them. Obviously, playing against Sergeant IM composition did not work out. But overall, heroes that I need to focus on, or at least players, is Blakidney and Linked. They had a phenomenal Western Clash. For a highlight in particular, look towards Deckard Cain for Linked. He landed so many Stay a While and Listen, set up his team to really get those fights that they wanted.
I mean, it was a story of part 1 of Phase 2 already. Linked on Deckard Cain is something that we highlighted a lot since he was able to make so many plays for his team, and that carried over into the Western Clash. I think one of the advantages that Leftovers had is that for a lot of teams where they were flying a little bit under the radar, everyone expected Fnatic to maybe still pull through. I mean, at the beginning of the phase, everyone, of course, thought Fnatic would be there. But then when Leftovers was able to secure that spot, everybody still thought, well, Leftovers, they have players that haven't really played in an offline setup. They have, of course, some experienced players like Mopsio, but at the same time, do we really expect them to do all that well? So I think teams neglected research on their end a little bit when it came to leftovers compared to the other teams that you expected to do a lot better. So I feel that's also one of the reasons why leftovers were able to get away with a few things that maybe with a bit more research they wouldn't have been able to pull off.
Part of it, too, is they also showed a little bit more of a diverse hero pool. Greymane from Blackitney coming out. We had DAB actually play on Saturday at the Western Clash, and he didn't quite deliver like he normally would. He did admit that he had a night where it felt a little bit awkward for him, but Blackitney really did show up for that tournament.
I mean, to be fair, leftovers definitely had a bit more variety when it came to the tournament and had a couple of pocket picks prepared. But in general, they are a team that shows very little variety in their play. Them and leftovers are the two teams that have the smallest hero pool. Well, no, maybe not the smallest hero pool, but they show the least variety in strategies that they play. At the Western Clash, leftovers definitely came through a little bit, and they also pulled off a Jogal composition. So they had a couple of pocket strategies that they definitely prepared for the event. But when it comes to regular league play, they haven't really shown a lot of that. They're usually very much so in that one pocket where they stay in, where they feel comfortable.
Now over to Method. Let's go ahead and start looking at the draft here as we have Maev and Jaina Ban. Maev is a regular for the leftovers. You did talk about the hero diversity not being so huge for leftovers in online play, and Maev was a part of that equation. Maev was played very often by the leftovers, so Method says, okay, we'll stay away from it. And of course the same, leftovers will ban out Medivh. However, Medivh's been banned pretty often already this weekend. We had him banned a lot yesterday already. Exactly.
Medivh was one of the stable bans that we had at the Western Clash because every time he got through, he had a massive impact on the game. It's interesting actually to see that, especially towards Korea and in Asia in general, Medivh isn't really perceived as a hero that matters all that much. We see occasional bans against him, but very rarely if you compare it to the Western scene. But especially in Europe, but also North America, the hero gets a lot more attention in the ban phase now. And talking about heroes that get attention, currently with the first pick on Deckard Cain, we have Method already taking one tool away from leftovers, and also, of course, giving Curson, the first Deckard Cain player at the mid-season brawl, one of his favorite heroes. And we have an oldie but goldie back who we missed sorely yesterday.
Yes, Phoenix coming out here for the first pick for leftovers. DAB has shown to really move towards that character, especially with Tracer falling off in the meta. And yeah, we were curious. We didn't get much Phoenix yesterday. In fact, we had him banned pretty often when it came to the monkeys, but leftovers, they see him up and available, and they will snatch him away. Over to Method. We go back to the old Method way. Abathur pops out for the third pick, and there's a Murd in there for Bad Binny.
And there's also a really good time for the Abathur pick because leftovers would have very likely banned Abathur out, as we heard in the interview and as we've seen from several players in the past. You want to ban out a lot of the specialists for ADRD. And Dignitas calls it playing the ADRD bingo whenever they are going in, banning out Medivh, Tassadar usually, and also Abathur. Lately, Tassadar is something that you can slip past because you don't really need to focus on that heavily with the ban. But that's one of the heroes that ADRD wants, and he gets it.
So Tracer banned out by leftovers, and I'm actually a bit curious. Genji is up and available, and it is a very strong pairing with an Abathur, especially if you go for that Ultimate Evolution clone, and pretty strong on this battleground when you're looking to grab a couple of kills. So I want to know if leftovers are prepared for that, and if they'll be able to move into a tank that can control the Genji, or if they're thinking about taking it for themselves, and we're about to find out whether or not they're going to move down that route.
Yeah, that's really one of the more interesting things, that hero wasn't really taken yet. But with the Tracer ban, I mean, you can understand that perfectly with Abathur. But having a Genji Abathur set up, diving into the backline, is also absolutely terrifying. It's not only about that. I mean, Muradin, Abathur is extremely powerful, so that's already good synergy that they have. But there's still several heroes out there that they can pick to add onto that. Johanna and Whitemane now taken. Now, we have seen Whitemane played a bit so far with little success. It seems that especially the build around Desperate Plea with a strong focus onto that Q ability is very powerful right now, and the preferred build that we're seeing. Johanna is still an interesting hero to me coming from the Eastern Clash. We talked about this yesterday a little bit. Korean teams don't really respect her. There are very different priorities when it comes to the front line. And in this case, though, we have once again Johanna taken. And now with Method even going into that Thrall. And Thrall is in particular a hero that has really had a standing out appearance at the Eastern Clash, where the Korean teams even banned him in the first rotation, all the way down to the finals even.
With Uriel and Johanna being in this composition now, leftovers do have a robust front line that is very difficult to kill. Phoenix will be the main... Never mind. Forget about that point. We have an Asmodan coming out for the leftovers.
All right, there we go. The pocket picks that we talked about a bit. And I'm actually really happy to see that. And that also explains Johanna a lot more. I mean, again, Johanna is a hero that we see in Europe a lot more, or in the Western scene in general, compared to the Korean meta. And on this map, we have seen a lot of Johanna picks, Mopsio in particular as a player that really likes the hero. But if you have an Asmodano, of course, then we're coming back to an old combo where you are trying to help Asmodan stack through Johanna and the Condemn. And that's going to be pretty fantastic for them, actually. It's by the way, it's one of these things that I just want to highlight here. If you ever play a Hero League game and you have an Asmodan in your team, do the Asmodan player and yourself a favor and help the guy stack in the early game. It's actually, nothing is more infuriating than watching or playing a game where you have an Asmodan on one side and the team just goes in and steals the stacks away before he even hits the globe.
Yeah.
Or the globe hits and the team is just sitting there. It's like, 1, 2, okay, now I'm killing them.
And vice versa, if you're the Asmodan player, realize when your teammates are trying to help you out, rotate together. Teamwork will make the dream work. Work in a situation, get those stacks going forward. Everyone benefits heading into the late game.
It's one of those things that still blows my mind.
Yeah.
When rework for Asmodan came in, I was like, okay, time to give this another shot. Played a couple of Asmodan games, and my teammates just fully ignored all the stacking process and stole the minions away. And I'm like, hello, team? Yeah, so a couple of knowledge gaps, maybe in the future address that. For leftovers, we have Link currently on the left side here with Mike Main. Podibos, on the other hand, he's playing Urel. We have Mopsio on Johanna. DAB, of course, on Phoenix, again rocking the auto attacks here, and Blake Hitney, last but not least, is playing Asmodan.
On the right side, in the red, Ethereal playing Thrall, ADRD on Abathur, Nick on Hanzo, Bad Benny on Muradin, and Curson to show off some Deckard Cain. So let's keep an eye on Asmo. He's definitely the story of this game.
It's actually interesting, right? We're focusing more on Asmodan than we do on Whitemane.
Yeah.
So Whitemane, we talked about the hero already yesterday a lot. You will see a heavy focus into the Desperate Plea, especially around the level 1 and the level 4 talent. Then on level 7, we usually have the Cleanse variation picked up. That's what you see a lot, and I would expect this also to happen in this particular game, since we are currently looking at a Muradin setup together with Thrall on the other side. So there's a lot of CC that you can stack with Deckard Cain, of course, too. So that's kind of what we're expecting out of Whitemane. The hero didn't really have a lot of success yesterday, but then at the same time was mostly played by the underdog team.
Yeah, she was played twice yesterday, and the losing team was picking her up both times. Now, she did do her job well, but you got to remember one time she did play with an Illidan composition, and Illidan compositions, if they're shut down, usually you're not going to see your support being able to shine too much. So we'll see if Whitemane will be able to do well today. She is in a situation where she has a pretty decent backline, having, of course, Urel in front of her, and then Asmodan, one that she should be back nearby constantly. Asmodan should never really be in much trouble, and if he is, she's right there to support him.
And Asmodan here on level 1 with Wrath, and here you see exactly what we talked about. The globe comes in, and then immediately the team is there and helps clearing the wave. And normally when you get the first few stacks together, Asmodan is doing a pretty good job on his own, but especially in the early game when those rotations are happening, you want to help him out. So Mopsio could have even done a little bit of a better job there trying to deliver those, but still a lot of minion stacks coming in for Asmodan here, sitting on 20 already after heading through the first few waves. And yeah, so that process, as you can see here, is just continuing. The Condemn comes out, the Globe comes in, and then immediately with Punish, Mopsio is trying to take all of those apart.
And that power spike will be felt when that 200 stacks does connect. We have Bad Benny trying to slow down Asmodan. One thing you can do against an Asmodan, if you realize that the team is working hard to make sure that he gets stacked, is you jump on the back line. Try to get some tension there. Make it harder for him to land his globes when he wants to go for the engages. Leftovers obviously here has some solid protection for him, but Method is going to attempt to slow them down.
Now already a big fight over the camp here, and good damage coming out of Leftovers. They're actually taking the emitter, but they're losing Phoenix. At this point, Podibos still trying to move out here, so a kill for an item. That's a trade that I absolutely call worth from the Leftovers in this point.
Being able to grab the support camp, Podibos will get hit with the Storm Bolt, but Bad Benny shouldn't be able to do too much from here. But Asmodan, one of the reasons why we've seen some teams talk about him heading into the Western Clash is that it just seems like it's too difficult to get to that late game. But already, Leftovers are making a great stride. They're at 59 stacks already. If you have lanes that are near each other, Tuma Spider Queen, Volskaya Foundry 2 degree with mid and top lane, if Blackheart's Bay was in the meta, you could run Asmodan there. That's where you can find those quick stacks as you rotate between two lanes.
I mean, especially Blackheart's Bay was the original Asmodan map, where we for the first time saw that combo between Johanna and Asmodan Asmodan because the top lanes are so close together that teams just farm both lanes for a long time and then had insane power spikes. But Asmodan going to the late game, that's definitely what usually the challenge is all about. And with Wrath as a level 1 talent, you're heavily focusing on these auto attacks. So that's definitely something where Blakidney is going to try and work the damage in later on in the game. But it's going to be super interesting to see how much is going to work out for them. Because right now, as you said, Leftovers are doing an absolutely fantastic job with the stacking process. And I'm really liking seeing this. We have 100 stacks already on the quest. So that just shows the power of having Asmodan in a rotation that helps him to stack. And again, later on, he can do that easily on his own.
And level 4 pickup is Hellforged armor, looking to be able to get that armor on top of the Demon Warriors and Lieutenants. The idea behind this, you drop the Lieutenants, of course, into a lane, and then you'll be able to try and slow down the Abathur push that's happening on the side. That means you can focus on being in this team fight. And Leftovers are already focused on said team fight. They bring 5 straight to the control point. They stuff it up, apply a little bit of damage to Bad Benny, while Bad Benny desperately tries to hold.
Yeah, I could actually have seen Battleborn taken on level 7, on level 4 for Asmodan even. Those auto attacks that you already want to work in because you went into Wrath on level 1 really help you to reset the cooldowns on your trade, and that can help against pushes from Abathur, for example, on opposite sides of the lane, or just giving you that extra macro control that you oftentimes want. But in this case, they're going for the extra armor there. Benny targeting Asmodan in the back line. Here come the CCs as Athero is moving in with the Wolf as well. More globes coming out. But still, with all that pushback, we are seeing Potibors on Urel creating a lot of space for that backline to keep Asmodan, and also Phoenix, of course, safe.
And here's one of the situations that you can have if you're playing against an Asmodan. If you're a weak health point hero, like Nick here, who's low on Hanzo when it comes to health points, he can chunk down to half health already with those globes coming in there. Imagine when the stacks actually continue to finish up and those 200 quest stacks do come in for Asmo and he works on those auto attacks. He has to play careful, and because he has to play careful, he's actually adjusted his build. His level 4 pickup, ignore all distractions. When you get a kill on top of a minion, you one-shot them, and you get an extra attack range by 2 for a good 3 seconds. That allows for him to poke from afar, but not get too close to the action where Urel can jump on him and then Asmodan falls up.
I also wanting to put the pick a little bit into perspective, because one of the things that we're seeing here is a scenario in which Asmodan was picked into the Abathur composition. Oh, nice collapse onto Nikia. Phoenix is in trouble. DAB still moving away. And again, Urel coming in, Bad Benny already low, Asmodan moving in with a laser as the control point is taken again by the Leftovers. Really nice engage by Method onto DAB, but Leftovers are able to keep Phoenix alive and move out of the fight.
The strength of a Q build Whitemane. Also, when members are grouping up and you're dropping down that Searing Lash, you just provide enough healing, and DAB was able to face take that damage coming in. Leftovers continue to control the point, 99% to 77 as they siege away. Blakidney steps up and drops a little bit of a laser. Link does the same here in the bottom right, while Athero is trying to retreat. He hasn't had their hat, but Potibos is jumping in and gets a kill.
Great kill by Leftovers, and they take the Protector with it now, pushing in through the mid lane. I also want to highlight quickly the level 7 pick on the side of Whitemane. We have talked about Intercession a bit. That's the cleanse variation that Whitemane has. But right now an adjustment on the side of Blink with Fanatical Power taken. So the extra spell power that you can gain 4 or 5 seconds, but it comes at a cost, of course. You lose out on armor. So an interesting pick for sure. Personally expected Intercession to be taken with Phoenix and with Asmodan in. And talking about Asmodan, I mean, the quest is completed at 550. So
for Wrath, yeah, level 1.
Extremely well done here by the Leftovers, thanks to that Johanna rotation. And I want to quickly come back to the pick. We had Asmodan picked into Abathur, and oftentimes when we've seen the Vikings come in at the beginning of the season, it was mainly because you are trying to use the Vikings as a direct counter against Abathur, so to say. And with Asmodan picked into Abathur, you have a much better chance to reach that late game and get into a position where where Asmodan really unfolds that value. So this is really a pick that is very much targeted against the composition that is used against Leftovers, which also explains to an extent why they left Abathur open.
Well, nothing too crazy in terms of heroics. At level 10, you have the Aegis, which has been the go-to for our Whitemane players here in Europe. But for Asmodan, we go straight into Tide of Sin, of course, which makes the next Globe of Annihilation cost no mana, and of course, deal 50% more damage. Great to pair with those stacks that you have been working towards the entire duration of the game.
Yeah, and Asmodan is really in a position where he can start getting a lot of damage out there through the auto attacks, but also with the globe, the long-term poke that he has. And the poke is going to be really important later on, since he can also just simply out-push lanes if need be. So imagine you're stuck around an objective. He will always be in a position where he can throw Globe on the adjacent lanes and just make sure that those are not getting pushed in. So get a little bit of lane pressure going there too. Definitely an interesting setup for Leftovers. It's a kill for a kill in this game now, as Method, of course, is ramping up their own heroic abilities, where Thrall specs into Earthquake. So I'll have to point that out, since especially in the Korean meta, we have a huge focus lately onto Sundering again.
Earthquake coming in will also allow for them to maybe get Aegis used by Whitemane. If she pops out her Desperation Plea and gets those full stacks coming out, they can wait out her entire duration of Aegis and then re-engage afterwards with Earthquake slowing them down. But still, this fight is looking pretty difficult for Method. I'm looking at this, I'm like, who do you try to focus? Azmodan has a pretty large health pool. Whitemane, tanky in her own right thanks to that level 4 coming in. It seems like Phoenix seems to be the main target to hop onto, but that can be a slippery Protoss member to hop onto. Here comes the Stormbolt, they jump straight into Mopsio, Lonedo comes out, and maybe Mopsio will be the target.
Mopsio goes down, Bad Benny nearly falls. Is there another Globe available? Nah, it's not going to be enough. That Benny already getting healed up here by Abathur in his own trade. But it shows that Mopsio, in this case, burned his Iron Skin a little bit too early. He wasn't really under too much pressure when he started to use the trade. And then when it really mattered, it was on cooldown and he couldn't use it as an escape tool. So really an important kill here for Method. And it shows a little bit on how they have to manage those fights in order to get these kills. They need to go in and really collapse onto a target quickly. A poke battle is something that they can't really win against Azmodan and Phoenix on the other side.
They've shown they're willing to jump into, and they definitely have the ability to do so. You had Murden jumping in, Stormbolt afterwards, Dragon Arrow also as well, and the Scatter Arrow slinging in, and then you throw an Ancestral Wrath on top of that. Typically, you'll be able to delete any target that you get onto. Uriel being the exception, as long as she has that Ardent Defender. Now, we do have a push in the top lane. It's going straight for these turrets. Leftovers have got a little bit of a lead in experience, 13-12, but with no well being destroyed in the top right corner. Method's still in a spot where they can keep fighting, and they keep up with the pressure. They jump in, ADRD, even using the clone on Murden. Yeah,
trying to go for DAB here. With a CC, they could maybe lock him down, but it's not quite the case yet. Also, in the meantime, Azmodan has continued a stacking process and is sitting at 310 stacks, really starting to get a lot of value out of these. We're having the point fought over. Abathur has not moved down yet, but he will do so soon. And over here, Blakitne is still looking for the engages, for those globes, and for the poke damage before the final battle happens.
Leftovers step up and look to control the point, sitting closer and closer to ticking. Azmodan is the target. Here comes the arrow, but the Age is popped immediately by Link Salvo to answer back. Method has to back up. They take some damage on the front line, but Curson will heal it up. Potty Boss charges on in while Thero uses Earthquake.
Great control here by Leftovers. Really liking the way they approach the fight. Now they have to keep Potty Boss alive, though, and immediately, again, the knockback against Method as those hits just keep coming. Great job by Leftovers controlling the space here, and they're starting to rotate back into the point. 19% against 0, but Method is trying to take control of the checkpoint.
Trying to take control here. No clone available for 20 seconds. This is a 4v5 with a hat coming in for them. Mopsio on the front line, taking some pressure. The Thero is able to use that Ancestral Wrath on him and, of course, chunk him down quickly. Leftovers finally make enough room here to move in, but Bad Benny, who is healthy, is taking his time, slowing down this point from being controlled by Leftovers.
Scarlet Aegis is only on a 60-second cooldown in total, and that means it's always a great trade if we trade it against an Hanzo Arrow. So this is really a cool scenario for Leftovers to be in. Their fighting is amazing here. Iron Skin, on the other hand, is keeping Mopsio alive for now. Here comes the Blast Shield as the turnaround attempt is happening. Thero is low, gets pushed into a corner, but already the Lonedo coming out, keeping him alive. The copy on Abathur as we see the double Muradin trying to engage into the backline again, but AD already missing the Stormbolt against Johanna.
Lonedo was used to try and pull Phoenix in, but DAB stepped up and was able to dodge it thanks to his warp. Thus, he's able to survive on forward, and now he has that Salvo and, of course, the ability for Azmodan to come in and chunk his opponents down. Method does not have much in terms of control point, only sitting at 8% right now, and they are climbing, so Leftovers has a chance to wait for all the cooldowns to pop up.
And you could just see the value of Azmodan in one of these prolonged fights. He moves down, gets one globe in, has a huge amount of stacks. He's at 390 right now, and he just pushed out that lane that Abathur had such a tough time to accumulate in the first place. And now, down to the bottom of the map, we're having a massive wave pushing through.
Yep.
The trade has been used as well, and this could very well result in a fort being taken out soon enough.
The level 4 and the level 13 for Azmodan is making it much easier for Leftovers to contain this Abathur that's hoping to push a lane out. Leftovers step up. Here comes the Salvo, but the root and the stun comes out, and DAB is taken out.
DAB taken apart here. Even the Sacred Aegis couldn't save him, and the second kill comes through as Johanna falls. Benny jumping into the backline, trying to make it a triple. Already with the Ardent Defender, we're seeing Urel attempting to escape here, creating some additional space for Link to also move out of harm's way. But a fantastic snap engaged by Method as they drop all the turrets and just take down Phoenix plus Johanna. Very well controlled here by Method.
One of the risks that you take when you run a Phoenix, he puts out a hefty amount of damage, especially when you get close to a fight. Look at him stepping up here, trying to get that big salvo off, but Ethereal and Bad Benny instantly pounce on him, and they just make sure that he is unable to get that salvo off, and they delete him.
To be honest, this was really one of those moments where Leftovers just didn't completely realize how well positioned Thrall and also Muradin were to jump onto Phoenix, because they were the ones trying to make the play. They went in with a blessed shield, and then we saw Phoenix move up to get that salvo, but that was the moment when Muradin and Thrall flanked from the side and have just an open corridor straight onto Phoenix. It felt like it was, in this case, Urel's job to try and create that space and peel for Phoenix, but that didn't really happen. And then Method gets that double kill, can secure the Protector, and is now pushing through that bot lane. Asmodan falling too, as we have 3 heroes collapse into the mid lane. Method definitely gaining some momentum in this first map.
Yeah, Asmodan was trying to push out this middle lane and top lane to allow for his teammates to poke on that Punisher that's pushing in the bottom lane. But he gets caught out, surprised by Method, and now suddenly Method jumps up in experience, 17.25. They're taking the second fort here in the middle as they continue to work on the one on the bottom. Actually, they might not be able to finish that one off until they go for a rotation, as Leftovers continue to chuck down that Protector, 30% on its health bar. But Method steps up and starts to move towards those level 20s.
Level 16, level 20 is actually like a really good keyword, because like total annihilation on level 16 is already pretty amazing if you want to chunk down 8-point heroes as Muradin. But once a level 20 comes in, you can really do a lot more damage if you go straight into Pride. So when it comes all to the damage output, that's really the talent to go for here. But of course, we're still 3 levels away from that. Also, Thrall with the Alpha Wolf now. Good damage against Johanna, Urel, and Asmodan. Another high hit point hero. Talking about high hit points, Bad Benny is in trouble as he's still trying to hold the point here together with Abathur, but there's just way too much damage output. And with Whitemane also popping the Sacred Aegis, at some point Muradin just had to yield and realize, okay, I can't hold this and need to back off.
Ardent Defender also gets to use that large cooldown just for a turret, but Leftovers are able to take it, showing that they're willing to fight. That gives time for Method to re-engage, especially in about a minute here when Muradin will have his avatar back up. There will be a 30-second window for Urel not to have that Ardent Defender, meaning they have a small window to try and get a pick. Ooh, but they're trying to get one already. Body Boss in the top left, without the Defender, has nothing to use and gets poked out.
Yeah, ADRD is about to lose the Clonia though, and Deckard is already dead since we had Asmodan with a massive Globe Annihilation coming in. 6 kills against 2. Once again, the Globes come through. They go for Bad Benny, and the Dwarf hops out, but barely. Great damage here by Leftovers, and they turn immediately towards the Biotic Emitter, trying to secure another item for themselves. Mopsio anchoring the play here. Well done, coordinated by Leftovers.
DAB is... Oh my gosh, hang on real quick here. As Bad Benny is taking some damage here, but DAB as well getting poked here by Nick. I was going to say, DAB is so hard to kill. Phoenix naturally is, but Link is making it even more difficult with these constant desperate pleas coming in here. The poke shelling away from Black Kidney. He's full healthy too.
It's such a difficult composition to play into from Method's perspective, because Leftovers have great frontline peeling, but they also have an insane amount of poke. You have Asmodan the entire time hitting those globes, and then also Phoenix working in these auto attacks. A great setup, especially with Whitemane's level 30 now also allowing Link to root targets into place, and that's something we've seen several times used against Muradin to put additional pressure onto him. The harsh discipline definitely making it difficult for the Dwarf to engage into that backline.
Method on the spot now, and then you think about, okay, do we want to actually take some team fights? They're chasing around Black Kidney here in the middle, but they are close to level 20. Giving Leftovers a fight seems like the play they don't want to go for, but here's a Stormbolt into an arrow. DAB locked down. Here comes the scroll, and DAB with Lornado is going to be taken out. Ethereal attempts to run away. He's going to be able to, thanks to an Abathur hat and some health potions coming out.
You have to give credit to Method here. The way that they find these kills is fantastic. Leftovers have an extremely powerful and very annoying composition that they play with. but Method finds these kills. It's perfect sync on their end. Once again, the play for the top 4 tier, but Leftovers is willing to take that fight, at least for now. They're starting to move in, defending the fort, pushing the opponent back, even though Method has the level 20 talent advantage.
I mean, the longer Leftovers can keep Method up here, the longer they're not getting on the control point, which gives them more time to build towards level 20. Method realizes this, okay, the control point is fully available, and they spread out, run to the turret at the bottom left. Bad Benny, his job here is to slow down Leftovers and make sure they're not getting that experience as quickly as they can. Method now should be able to head down and start getting some points moving towards, and if Method's able to grab this, now they can finally make a play to end the game.
I'm really impressed by both teams here. The Azmodan pick into Abathur was absolutely fantastic and a really well thought out strategy on the Leftover side. But the way that Method plays it is just great. And they jump on Urel. The Ardent Defender is coming out as we are seeing Blake Kidneys or Podibus trying to get away here. Very nice move against Muradin, but the stun comes through. Here comes Azmodan. Nice hit against Nick, but Phoenix is still dead. The Lornado once again interrupting any kind of escape on the side of Phoenix and DAB. Method just controlling these fights extremely well, despite the prowess of Leftovers.
DAB just having a really rough time. Method exploiting Phoenix in that weak health core. And if you're not near Whitemane, you will get taken out in a quick manner. Constant lockdowns here. Now with Abathur working on the control point in the bottom left, Method can siege away. A goal that you normally want to have here if you have an advantage is you want to take out this keep wall so you can run straight to the protector, straight to the keep, take that out, and then go for the core afterwards.
So at this point, we're seeing 65,000 damage through Azmodan, 81,000 for Nick on his Hanzo. But when it comes to the siege damage, and of course Azmodan is just taking the first place, the pole position here without a doubt. 157k damage done already, and also the hero that contributed the most experience to his team. They have finally level 20. Phoenix is going to be back soon, but now is really the time when Method is already looking towards a keep since they are pushing in with the Protector aggressively through the bottom of the map.
They have time to push up too. Mopsio just used the Iron Skin. Should be able to push in with his wave. Here comes the glove. It will lock down the keep as Mopsio steps up. He has Iron Skin back up, goes in for a Condemn, pulls in a Thero. Not going to do too much here, waiting for Phoenix to step up and apply some damage. Bad Vinny being on that front end of the damage. Overall though, this Protector is actually getting burned down quickly.
Yeah, we also have an interesting setup here for Leftovers. We're going to talk about this in a second, but first we see the Protector burn down even quicker. The keep is so far still in play, and they are trying to hold on to it, but with the last few final shots, the Protector is moving in, takes it down just before it's burned down.
We do have a push in the top lane that's happening during all of this, so if Leftovers can stay alive and keep Method in this area, they may be able to get some damage on that keep. But the clone gets finally destroyed, and Abathur will be able to start working on clearing that up. So Method takes the lead in terms of map control. They get catapults pushing in the bottom lane and are sitting at level 21.
Now, I really expected Scarlet Crusade to be taken by Whitemane on level 20, since especially having the Unstoppable for 1 second is a great tool to keep these heroes alive that struggled a lot throughout this game. Method has so much CC here through Thrall, Deckard Cain, Muradin, the copy that we have from Abathur, and also the Hanzo arrow itself, that I really expected an attempt from Link to save these targets. But instead, they are actually going for Purge the Wicked, which is a 40-second activatable burn against the hero that can really help you to just take down, let's say, Muradin, for example. So they are trying to just get those kills. And it's a really nice nuke attempt that we're having from Whitemane here, but a completely different approach from what I originally expected from the team.
I wonder if that's meant for Muradin there, being able to reduce his armor. You have the mix-up from Azmodan who does extra Globe Annihilation damage to tanks. Here we go, full fight happening, but the back line is in trouble. Athero comes in from the left and applies some damage. Mopsio steps up to try and buy some time for his team, while Urel controls the point.
And Urel, here comes again, the Indestructible being used. Urel already down, the root attempt by Ling, but he himself finds himself now locked down by Deckard Cain. The second kill comes through, Whitemane is dead, and Mopsio is falling to a triple kill for Method as they're going for the quad, dropping Phoenix. A fantastic coordination again by Method. 12 kills against 2 in total.
What a fight. And Nick is fully aware of these Globe of Annihilations coming straight for his face. Every time he has saved that natural agility to jump away from it before he has been taken out. And now Method, with a full unit of 5, can run straight down to the core. Leftovers have nothing for 30 seconds. They only have Azmodan, and he's not going to defend this.
No, Azmodan is not going to be able to pull this off on his own. The Kidney still trying to work in the damage here, but Method is going straight for that core. And they are going to take game number 1 in the series, setting themselves ahead with a 1-0.
A 1-0 coming out for Method. almost a revenge for what happened at the Western Clash, shutting down this Asmodan composition. But I think one reason why we enjoy the Leftovers is they have shown that they are willing to experiment a lot lately. Asmodan comes out in game number 1, can't fault them for that, it just didn't work out.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I really like the pick. Asmodan into Abathar, I think, was a really good choice. You can see the thought process there. It didn't quite work out, but I feel there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, I still have to question a bit what linked... I mean, there was obviously an idea, okay, let's burn heroes down. We went for the extra spell power on level 7. We had then the Purge, the Wicked Taken on level 20. Personally, I would have really, considering the amount of CC that was stacked on Method side, I would have really liked them to go into the Sacred Crusade and also in the Indecision on level 7. If you have those extra cleanses around and you have these Unstoppables, I feel they could have done a lot in these fights because we saw ADRD copy Abathar a lot. So we had Muradin. We had double Muradin coming in, so it's twice the Stormbolts, twice the fun. You have Thrall with the Roots. It's just too much to handle. And the Tornado comes out too. There are so many CCs and so many tools that prevent you from escaping that if you don't have any cleanse and you don't have any of these abilities to save you, Phoenix gets locked down over and over again. We see the same happening to Urel, who fell way more often than you would expect here. So I think if they play a bit of a different approach on the healer side, try and protect these targets, they can play longer fights, and through longer fights have a better chance of actually dishing out the damage through the Global Annihilation and also from the auto attacks. But the idea behind the comp, I really liked it. Into an Abathar, the Asmodan setup for this map, I feel that can really work. And if they go up against another team or they just practice the strategy a little bit more, I think they can find a lot of success with this draft.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the competition overall too, but what I really admired was Method and their late game prowess. Them moving into the Alpha Wolf at level 16. And that's when they actually sped up this aggression. I was trying to figure out what was the benchmark for when they decided, okay, let's try and get these kills. It's when Alpha Wolf came online. They had the Ancestral Wealth available, they had Thrall to go in, they had Muradin to force the fights as he wanted to. He moved into Stone form at 16 as well in case he was to overextend. And as you mentioned, when you always have that clone available with Thrall or even Muradin coming in, you have a way to disengage, and that allowed for them to really brawl as much as they wanted in the late game and shut down those high health heroes that were available for Leftovers.
They were just able to really force fights when they wanted them, and that came because of the amount of CC that they have here.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to do, because in an ideal world, what Leftovers are trying to do is they play a bit of a poke battle through a long time. They are able to clean out the lanes with Asmodan as well in the middle of the fight, and then they play the long and drawn-out game. But with those forced fights on Biotic emitter camps and also by Muradin jumping in, setting a Stormbolt up, the copy coming through, Method just did a fantastic job forcing fights that were advantageous for them. And as much as I talked about the draft on the Leftover side, as you already pointed out, the amount of execution and how well Method executed their own draft and how well they actually played with that setup against a very annoying composition, that was incredibly powerful. So kudos to Method for pulling this one off.
It was a good game. Let's go to game number 2 and see if we get something as equal in terms of caliber. As we head straight into Battlefield of Eternity, Method will choose the battleground